Who we are, who am I? When you ask yourself, you think that you are not only body, you have consciousness, you have your person, you have soul, you have mind. What is soul? What is mind? Is it different than the brain, than the body? Something like a ghost, whatever it is, smoke, metaphysical thing, or we are only body? This is a very long historical subject of debate and debate, and we have no answer for that. I would like to discuss this issue with. I think that we have a wrong notion of what is soul, what is mind. I am neither spiritualist nor materialist. I think there is the third option, which is through our scientific experiences and accumulated knowledge. Now we have much better understanding what is human, who we are. Let me take you back to in time tunnel. Put yourself in the minds of these primitive people, though it will not be easy because you cannot unring the bell, but try your best. Try to put yourself in the shoes. Well, they didn't have shoes perhaps. Let's say in the caves of these primitive cavemen. Assume that we have still, it is just thought process. You can put this experiment in a time that there were still isolated tribes in the world, in some jungles or some mountains. Assume that we have discovered a group that have no communication with the rest of the world. They are not aware of our technology. They're living in prehistoric times as cavemen. Here it is. You are one of them. You see big birds flying once a while. We now call them aeroplanes. They see big noise they create, thunder. And they are smart as you. They can tell that they must be big, much bigger than the eagle, because they are far from the eagle. They are even sometimes go above the clouds most of the time. Therefore the clouds are above eagle, and they are even further than the clouds, and their apparent size is like eagle or sometimes bigger than eagle. Therefore they must be very, very huge. They can tell. They know that the farther away the objects, the smaller they appear. They are that smart. Therefore they know these huge eagles, birds, making big roaring noises. They once a while pass. They have no idea what is going on, when they will pass. They have no pattern. They may find some pattern too if these flights, airplanes, happens to follow certain pattern from between two countries. Now, let's say the scientists decided, archaeologists, to do an experimentation. One day they decided to drop in this jungle a box. I will not tell you what is this box about. A box with parachute. And then these tribesmen noticed that again this huge bird is passing with incredible noises, and they just again in awe. Once in a while they look, or they got used to it, but few of them notice that something coming down is kind of semi-spherical stuff, a parachute. They don't know what is parachute about. What is this? They think it is another creature they haven't seen, or in their mythology they may liken to something. And then it slowly, gradually comes, and they are very curious. One thing common, few things common, that with our ancestors is their curiosity. and curiosity is the one that really caused them to survive. It fell, and then they rush, they go there, they find this parachute. They have no idea, they are very curious, they are a little bit scared, they are nervous, and they are very curious too. And the bravest of all starts touching it and finds out this kind of soft stuff, material, and then sees these bugs. And they have trepidations, fear, caution regarding, finally assume, they get over the bravest one finally touches, maybe doesn't listen to the shaman, to their magician. And they see that it's not kind of hurting them, and then they start playing with it. They see it kind of like, say, there's one side semicircular, the other side is rectangular. It is a very interesting box. They never seen this before. There's symmetry in that, very polished design, certain knobs on them, and they don't know even the names. Oh, they see this is not made by nature, and neither their craftsman has made anything even close. And then start playing with it. While playing and with the knobs, and then boom, starts music and singing. Now of course, well, let's assume it falls on the grass, it doesn't break on a bush, and then what's going on, and they are all scattered, they escape, and then they see the singing continues, come closer, closer, and then the brave one still holds. And then there are two different ideas going on. One is, this box is the box of ghosts. Ghosts come into this box. What else? A human cannot fit that. In fact, the music, they never heard such an instrument. The language is very different. And there is another one, says, he's kind of a little skeptic. He says, no, I don't think there are ghosts in it. Whatever it is, it must be confined within this box. This is a magic box, something inside. There's two ideas. One is there is something from outside coming through it, and then when they turn, they learn that when they turn it right or left to a certain direction, the noise goes down, the volume, and goes up, and then shuts down. Aha! Therefore, they think the one who believes in ghost, in soul, in body, soul is metaphysical, unseen, with we cannot perceive with five senses somehow. This is the theory. And, well, this is one that attracts the soul, the ghost. The other says, no, this is something most likely moves something inside that touches each other, makes the noise somehow. Now, if you were listening to this, when the shaman is saying there's ghost coming from outside, and another person who is skeptical says no, it is confined, whatever it is making this music is in the box. Which one you would side? Personally, I would side with shaman, because that's the only explanation I could have. That would make more sense, perhaps. It doesn't make sense. None of the boxes we have on its own can sing like that. You turn it on, it continues singing, and human cannot fit there. It is not an animal. Let's say they open, they cannot understand anything what is going on. There is no a little frog or critter inside, nothing. How in the world you would know, you would be able to know whether it depends to another thing like radio broadcast or it is complete set? Means it could be a radio that needs broadcast plus the devices in the radio that captures and translates to vibrations, or it could be an MP3 player, music player, digital music player. MP3 may change in the future. If you watch this, you may not understand what does MP3 player or a disc player. But in the future, whatever it is, digital means music player. Would you be able to understand? No. Well, I would look at the inside. If it doesn't have transistor and stuff, well, you know it beforehand. Assume that you don't know about the structure of the things. You wouldn't be able to know whether it is a radio means body plus soul or something coming. Though it is not metaphysical stuff, but at least it doesn't have mass. It is not confined here. It is outside. It requires a source to broadcast. Or it is a music player. Well, perhaps I would go to the cave, and if the sound go down and faded and get atmospherics, I would know that it is radio. Well, you know radio now, how it behaves based on that knowledge you are doing that. You wouldn't know. You would explain that soul ghosts are not entering here. Correct? If you believe the radio, if you believe that everything within the box, you would say the box is sensitive, whatever inside the box may be sensitive to the caves. Well, you're right. In that regard, I think the idea of being radio would be more, how do you say, acceptable. Now, what we are. We are body. Personally, I find the idea of separate soul doesn't make sense. It's very impossible to really reconcile the idea of a metaphysical, totally metaphysical soul, that the set is, let's say, a circle, the qualities, none of them are physical, and physical body, and how they interact without having any overlap, any commonality. Venn diagram. How can it be? When we see people drink alcohol or get drugs and they get their soul, their person changes. Well, this is not soul. What is soul then? How can soul communicate with body? The Quran has very interesting description of nafs. Nafs is what makes a person, and it likens to dream, during sleep. The Quran says God takes your nafs, your person, your consciousness, because takes away while you are sleeping and while you are dead. But if a person is sleeping, God returns back their nafs, their person. From there we understand it is consciousness. Our consciousness shutting down and up, basically. It is not something really getting out of the body, but there is some disconnect in the brain. It shuts down the cognitive, some of the cognitive functions, or most of it, the self-awareness, which allows you to make decisions and to use the reasoning faculties. And therefore in dream we lose our logical faculties, and therefore we end up believing nonsense and doesn't make sense. And I have another theory for a different theory for dreams. It is another issue. Now, who we are. What is self? What is consciousness? That's very long, but I want to kind of summarize. One is, we are made of four things. One is body, and the other genetic code in the body. We are not only body. Body means made of molecules. Molecules made of what? Atoms. Atoms made of what? Well, these elements that we know, correct? And ultimately it goes to hydrogen, the smallest element. Or you go to hydrogen, subatomic particles, you go to quarks, gluons and mesons, and then ultimately you go to Higgs bosons and all those 19 subparticles. We are made of that. Therefore, a human body, you can say approximately this many grams of oxygen, this many grams of carbon, this many grams of nitrogen, this many grams of hydrogen, and little kind of iron, little magnesium and potassium and other elements that make us. Basically, you can put them in container. This is you. You can analyze humans, separate them, and then here it is. Well, yes, we are those. You can sell it in shop, those elements that make us a human body, but they come together according to a plan. This plan, according to our knowledge, is through evolution it came about. And evolution, theory of evolution, is in Islamic theory. In fact, before Darwin, long time, centuries before Darwin, many Muslim scholars promoted theory of evolution based on their understanding of the Quran. That's interesting. Even Darwin, during his time, he was accused by his contemporaries to be following the teaching of Mohammedans, Muslims. In fact, Shanawaz, in his book, The Islamic Theory of Evolution, in this book, and he has a quote in the back of the book. I just put here, maybe you can stop it if you want to read it. This book is fantastic, and many Muslim scholars, from Ibn Sina to Ibn Rushd, from Ibn Khaldun to Al-Haytham, they all, Ikhwan Safa, they all promoted the idea of evolution from minerals to vegetables and animals, and then finally humans. Now, whether through evolution or not, it is not an issue. We come together according to a plan. It is called the genetic code. How genetic code is happening is another issue, according to certain laws. Therefore, human body plus the plan code that put them together in certain proportion, these elements, and in certain particular order, create organs, and these organs come together in particular order and design that allows human brain to function. And human brain is also has an embedded logic board in it, CPU you can call it, which is 19 rules of inference and some rules of induction. All these deduction and induction, we are born with it. It is built in logic system. It is the common human language, not the English, Turkish or Arabic, Chinese. This is superficial later we made, but we have common human language which is called logic. We communicate with that one. We can unite, we can come in agreement by using that common language. Okay, body, the code that make this hardware code make, and then basic software we come with. It is system software, and it is divine. God has given us, and this program, which is genetic code, is also divine. Ruh is what the combination of both, we can say, or logic plus the operating system, the software system that somehow instruct certain hormones to be released. It's a little bit complex. I don't want to go over details, further details. And the fourth is application programs that we make up. We as body, that programmed body that creates human rather than a lizard or an orange, but human. And then this human, based on the system program and built-in logic board, start making choices, reacting to the stimulus, the environment, and meanwhile, making choices, through choices, learning, good or bad, something that benefits or doesn't benefit, accordingly making decisions, accepting certain things, basically creating a lot of memories and utility of those memories, how to utilize those memories, reaching conclusions in order to increase the utility. That's the human decision. And therefore, we are born, from that moment we start based on this hardware and system software and logic board. We create documents, even application programs sometimes we create, visual pictures we create, and also basically we design, we put them in order, priorities, and we create ourselves from that starting point. Then who we are. Therefore, we can say we are made of body material things, that mass or energy, plus information. This information both in hardware and also how to govern the function of this hardware. It is now whether the knowledge or the information, the logos or the information is separate from the mass or energy or the same. That's an interesting philosophical question. I will not be able right now as a monologue. Monologue by itself is taxing, is difficult for me. This subject can be discussed in group or two people. It is much better. But think about what is order. Assume you have about 7 marbles in different colors. 7 marbles made of silicon or some other little contamination in it, and let's say pure silicon or pure carbon. This carbon, pure carbon, it will be what? Diamond. Anyway, let's say there's 7 of them in different colors. You put them in different order, these colors. You can create different orders. 0, 1s. You have 0 and 1s. Basically, the information in us, we can reduce it to 0, 1s. What makes your person, the memories you have, and the learning, the knowledge that you have accumulated, and the organization of those things, and your conclusions based on that, all these can be put in 0s and 1s. And what is it? That order. You can switch the order of 0, 1s or add some zeros there, that the whole program may collapse like a computer program. A virus can enter, means change the order of some 0s and 1s, or add an application in the middle, some codes in the middle, then that whole thing start mess up, becoming not functional at all. Fantastic program. It could be system program or an application program. Therefore, the order is very important. But the very order itself is not a mass. It's not mass, it's not matter. That order is knowledge. Knowledge both independent of the matter, but also functions together with matter. You cannot really, we cannot imagine information happening without body. But it is not body itself. That's a very important point. And what is information? Ultimately, we can reduce human body even to information. Even the ontological existence of matter, mass, becomes questionable when we start going down, 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 either chronologically to the beginning of universe, or physically to the inner structure of atom. We see emptiness, we see part inside part, smaller, and then finally converts to energy. What is energy? Well, we understand through matter how they transform to each other, but what is it? It is still order. The difference between hydrogen and the helium, lithium, and go up to carbon and iron and all other heavier elements, it's really quantitative stuff. Extra protons come together, create different functions and quantity. And the order of this quantity, put different order, you end up with different molecules, proportion and order. Proportion itself, yes, it is matter. It is quantity of the matter, but the order of that proportion and the knowledge of that order, it seems independent existence. And therefore, my understanding of human person, which is the Quran call it nafs, is knowledge, is information, and that's really who we are. Our body could have the same elements, which is, it's not really few pounds you are extra or the other from the other person. What makes you different is the connection of dendrites in your brain that have different memories and different decision making and choices. And that is information in 3 dimensions. But that information could be translated into zeros and ones. And that information could be beamed to another body. This body may not necessarily be flesh and bones. Who said that? It could be plastic. It could be something that we never know, another different element from different universe. In the future, it seems very possible that we could make computer with much higher processing speed, megahertz, which is human intelligence, the speed that we solve the problem, and the capacity, hard disk, that brain that holds so much memories, and processing speed and stuff. And computers already now, they can have eyes, cameras, they can talk, communicate. It's not necessarily really what makes us. A human being may be mute, may not be even able to see, still thinking human being, we know. Therefore, it is possible to have a computer, just at least theoretically, that will be able to house the information in human brain, that assume that we can translate, convert the holographic, 3-dimensional, let's say, connections which create different kind of information or documents or visual, audio, or whatever it is, or executable programs that makes us to choose this one rather than that one, values, transfer it to that body, that computer, which could be robot, simple, put 2 feet, mechanical stuff. Don't bother with that simple stuff. It is really cosmetics. As Turner said, what's the difference between intelligent, Alan Turing, not Turner, Alan Turing, difference between human being and computer? Well, we should decide it behind the veil of ignorance, means put computers and humans besides 10 doors, let's say, 10 windows. You don't see them, but you can communicate with them, ask them questions. You got the answers. Based on these answers, you should be able to make distinction. This one is human, this one computer, this one human, this one human, this one human, this one computer. If you know all these 10, distinguish the computer from human based on their intelligent answers, then we know what's human, what's computer. But if you are confusing them, then there's no difference really between human and computer. And that's an interesting, beautiful way of looking. And therefore, it's possible to transfer all the information that makes your person to another body that will allow that information to function, to react to the environment and continue reacting according to the accumulated memories plus previous decisions and affirmation, confirmation, those kind of things. And then here you are there in that body. If you are sleeping and transfer you there, they turn on that body, that robot, you will find yourself there. if the body of a robot looked like human body, let's say made of soft rubbers that resembles you, for a while you may not even notice that you are in different body. You woke up just from your bed. But the problem comes if your previous body, now your mind is duplicated here, you are in different body, and let's say that one woke up too, and which one you will find yourself in? You will find yourself there, and there at that time will you be two independent people without really any communication, of course, but that's really very interesting when you think about it. This is the beginning of philosophy. I'm not going next, and as I said, just I want to scratch the surface. Very interesting. But if you die, well, you can continue in this body, maybe much healthier body or long-term mechanism that can, and then when this hardware gets older, this another thing, possibility. But the end of the universe is coming. That's another thing. And the Quran, in fact, relates it to human accomplishment. Says, when humans think, become arrogant, they think they are capable of everything, they got such technology, then the end of the universe will come. It will be collapsing. It is a closed universe as opposed to open universe. And of course this may take billions years, but according to Quran it will be sudden, means when the shift happens, that time the whole structure of the universe will change, will become impossible to allow humans to live. Anyway, that's basically, roughly, I try to communicate these ideas with you. I'm not sure how I accomplished because I don't have feedback from you. Maybe some parts it was ambiguous, you didn't understand, or I made some mistakes without paying attention. Hopefully this will help you to think about this. This doesn't mean that you agree with me about these issues. Absolutely, I do have some speculations, but based on reasoned speculations, and you come up with your own understanding. If you have better understanding, please let me know. Thank you.